And now, my friends, for the very last time this year, but he'll be back in the new year, I'm absolutely certain. It's our mate Van Connor with his 1, 2, 3 Freeview film recommendations for the weekend, for the holiday weekend. I see his 3 and matching with 3 of my own. You get half a dozen movie offerings, courtesy of me and the Freeview channels and Van Connor. Good morning, Van. How's your Christmas been, mate? And thanks very much for helping us out on Christmas morning.
Oh, it's always my pleasure to join you for Christmas, Mr. Ross. You bring such seasonal spirits to proceedings, I find.
Yeah, if only I felt like that on the inside. No, it was a good fun show, actually, and you made it, as always, this was great Freeview film recommendations for last weekend. So where would you like to start with us this morning, please, Van?
Well, I'm not going to start in the morning, I'm going to start in the evening, so 11:30 tonight. I mean, this is unfathomably late. I don't know why they're doing this so late. 11:30 tonight on BBC One, you can see pretty much the seminal British comedy of the last 25 years. It's the full Monty. It's the only comedy not written by Richard Curtis that really broke through on the British film scene in the last sort of 2.5 decades. Absolutely. It made stars of all of its cast. Robert Carlyle, Mark Addy, for instance, just made absolute stars of them. And of course, Mark Addy has gone on to Game of Thrones infamy. Robert Carlyle has gone on to, well, just legendary. Yeah. You know, not even infamy, just pure legend in the time since. And it is, of course, the story of the Sheffield steelworkers who were laid off in the late 80s, early 90s, and who turned to stripping as their source of income. I have a whole soft spot for this movie. I remember about a year before it came out. But incidentally, it opened on the same day as the first Austin Powers movie, which I went to. My best mate and I, we were 14. We really wanted to see that first Austin Powers movie. We loved Mike Myers, and we came out into the reception of the Odeon in Sheffield, and it was just filled with women over 40. It's the only way I can say it, on a night out. It was the most insane thing, which just didn't happen in 1997. Absolutely brilliant movie. My mum saw the play that it was based on a year before this. My mum is a person who only reads books written by Martina Cole. So her seeing a play, not a whole thing. And even she was hyped up for this film. This thing was a phenomenon. Absolutely banging film. It's got heart, it's got charm, it's got Sheffield steelworkers stripping. What more do you need? You can see it tonight on BBC One at 11:30.
And you've got a clip for us as well, I think.
I have got a clip for you. This is Mark Addy, future king of Westeros, distilling maybe why they should consider taking their kiss off.
It's 10 quid by 1,000, right? And you've got... Yeah, well, a lot, a very lot.
I know, Dave, I mean, it's worth a thought, though, isn't it?
Oh, aye. I just see little and large prancing around Sheffield with the widgers hanging out. Now, that would be worth 10 quid.
Don't be so bloody daft. We were just saying,
Widgers on parade, bring your own microscope. I don't see why the chuff not, Gerald. Because you're fat and he's thin, and you're both ugly.
Apart from that, they've got a good strippers troupe going for them. It's a great film, that heartwarming. It's almost, I always felt it had the feeling of a latter-day Ealing comedy. Obviously more gritty than some Ealing comedies, but they were kind of social commentary in their time as well. So that's an absolute cracker for today. I've also gone for a comedy. If I'm being absolutely honest, mine tips over ever so slightly into the wee small hours of Saturday morning. It's 10 to 1 tomorrow morning, which is Saturday morning, and it's called, I'm sure you'll remember it, folks, 25 years old this year. Directed by James L. Brooks, co-written by him. As Good as It Gets, which won yet another Oscar for Jack Nicholson. And in it, the setup's very simple, basically. He's a writer, hugely successful, but he's got an obsessive-compulsive personality disorder, which means things like he can't walk on the cracks on pavements, he turns the lights on and off dozens of times, and he is an absolute curmudgeon. He is, if you look up the word unpleasant and rude in the dictionary, there's his face under both those entries. And yet, one thing that seems to bring him comfort and security outside his flat is this cafe he goes to where Helen Hunt is working, and then there's a danger she might move on from her job because her son's got allergies, and we see the start of a process. It's not an easy film at times because some of the comments he comes out with, I mean, they were watered down, I'd imagine, from what they originally were. A lot of these were ad-libbed apparently by Jack Nicholson, but they are still... I mean, when he says to the Greg Kinnear, I think won an Oscar for this as well for Best Supporting Actor, and he talks in very, very harsh, but wickedly funny terms about him being gay, for example, because it's the kind of he says the unsayable basically. Great movie. This is, of course, it's as good as it gets from 1997. It is now, unbelievably, and I've got a bit of the trailer for you. Remember, when it's on his mind, he says it. He's got no filter. And by the way, stir into some kind of disappointment and disagreeable nature, and also the fact that he thinks everyone's out to get him, and pretty much got the character Jack Nicholson plays in this film, but he still manages to make him likeable.
There's not going to be a debate. You must...
You said you could help me. What was that? A tease?
I can help you if you take responsibility to keep regular
You changed the room
appointment
around.
2 years ago. I also regrew my beard, but you're not interested in changes in me. So it's like
I don't have this mountain of available time. I have to get to my restaurant on time. Now, do you know how hard it was for me to come here?
Yes. No, we're not doing this now.
I changed just one pattern, as you always said I should.
No. Nope.
Oh, I read that. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
What if this is as good as it gets?
Oh.
Ouch, of course, I should have said he's off to see his therapist. He wants to change his life because he wants to kind of... He suddenly realises he has feelings for Helen Hunt and doesn't want to lose her out of his life. That masquerades as her job as a waitress. So that's my first film. It's as good as it gets. 10 to 1, wee small hours of Saturday morning. What's your next pick for us, Fred?
Well, I figured, we're all off out for New Year's Eve. We might be out, we might be having parties, we might be having family over, etc. So why not have something nice, chill, sedate? They'll put you in a good mood for New Year's Eve. So tomorrow night, 7:20 on BBC One, they've got you covered. They've got the Danny Boyle directed, Richard Curtis written, Yesterday, the movie in which Himesh Patel, I should mention, the movie says introducing Himesh Patel. The guy had been on EastEnders for about a decade by this point, so I don't know who they were introducing him to. They were introducing him to everyone who doesn't watch EastEnders, evidently. He is the young busker, aspiring musician who is the only person who remembers that the Beatles existed. Like, one night there's a blackout for a second and everyone forgets the Beatles ever happened. Like, history erases the Beatles, but he remembers, and he's able to perform the Beatles' music, their entire discography, and it becomes his, and he becomes the overnight star. And along the way, his rise to fame and his sort of emotional fall from grace, he even gains a celebrity mentor, played. And I'm not sure it was written this way because the script seems to very heavily suggest. And I think Film Trivia has pointed out that Chris Martin turned them down a few times. But
it's his loss because Ed Sheeran is fantastic in this, I think.
Well, that's it. So Ed Sheeran takes it, but the script sets it up as if it's Chris Martin, and he apparently did turn them down. I just have this theory that they just forgot to change the script. So here is a clip from yesterday, which is on 7:20 tomorrow night. It's like 100 minutes, so it's done by like 9 o'clock.
Lovely film, very sweet film.
Perfect timing. He's very sweet, isn't it? And there's a great cameo and some overlap with the full Monty. No spoilers. And this is a clip for you of Ed Sheeran trying to meddle in the musical history of the Beatles.
Let me just give you this advice, right? Song title. I won't charge you a penny for it as well. Hey, dude.
Hey, dude. Hey, dude. Are you sure?
He's right. That's so much better.
Is he? Is it?
Yeah. Hey, dude. Don't make it bad. Definitely going to be one of the best songs of the generation. Hey, dude. Hey, dude. Don't make it bad. Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Oh, brilliant stuff there. So that's on Saturday. That's your recommendation. I also went for a comedy on Saturday. And all week this week, ITV3 has been running practically every single carry-on film ever made. Saturday, for example, they're running 9 carry-on films, pretty much back-to-back, I know. Go all the way from things like Carry On Cruising, all the way through to some of the more recent ones. Uncertain in tone, some of them, and some of them haven't aged particularly well. They've got 2 crackers on them. My 2 favourite carry-on films are on Saturday, and one of them is my recommendation of the week. I should say there's another film on the ITV4, just before the carry-on start, and they really know their market. It's the first big screen version of the On the Buses sitcom. So we're talking the 1970s writ large. Anyway, the one Carry On Up the Khyber is my favourite carry-on film, and it was partly a spoof. People forget this, that they always seem to go for things that were trending at the box office. So they made Carry On Cowboy when westerns were still huge, Carry On Cleo in the wake of Cleopatra. In fact, Sid James wore one of Richard Burton's suits of armour, the breastplate that he wore for Cleopatra. And around the time of Carry On Up the Khyber, which was released I think in 1968-69, there'd been a spate of big screen epics, one mainly starting Charlton Heston. One was about the Boxer Rebellion in China, another was about he played General Gordon of Khartoum, and this was like a Mickey take of those, but also a kind of Mickey take about our colonial empire past. Very funny indeed. Basically, the plot is they're posted out to what's meant to be Afghanistan, and the troops keeping the locals in order are notorious because they wear kilts. and the local people are terrified of them because they're so brave. They can not bother with underpants, even though the wind whistles up the Khyber Pass. Then they find out that, courtesy of Charles Hawtrey, some of them do wear underpants. A rebellion breaks out. It's as daft as that. It's on 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, Saturday afternoon. It's carrying up the Khyber, and there's a burst of the trailer. Remember, one of 9 carry-on films on ITV3 tomorrow.
India, 1895. The most precious gem in the far-flung belly of the great British Empire, ruled by the British governors, who, in turn, are ruled by their wives. And the Khyber Pass, frontier garrison of the 3rd Foot and Mouth Regiment, otherwise known as the Devils in Skirts.
I was only trying to keep warm.
Oh, so you're cold, are you?
Very simple. Where the wind whistles up the pass.
With the reputation of being invincible in battle, they fearlessly carry on up the Khyber.
And given that carrying up the Khyber could also be rhyming slang, it's an interesting way they make to get on past the censor. So that's 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon on ITV3. My final recommendation is an absolute cracker. It's on late, understandably. It's about 3 films in one, this. It was directed by and co-written by Jonathan Glazer. It's on 11:10, Sunday night, film 4. It is from 2001 to the year 2000. It's at least 22 years old now. Sexy Beast. And it's an absolute masterpiece, this film. And what I particularly love about it was I went and saw a screening of this with no knowledge of what the film was about. And suddenly Gandhi pops up, playing the most hideous psychopath I've ever seen on the big screen. Short of Sir Cliff Richard playing a serial killer, nothing has shocked me more. And it reminds you what a brilliant actor Sir Ben Kingsley is, of course. Basically, it's not about a gangster who wants to retire, isn't able to retire. That's Ray Winston. He thinks he's lost his nerve for the big games, the big crimes. However, he's summoned back by Ben Kingsley's character called Frank, a horrible, hideous madman at the behest of Lovejoy himself, Ian McShane, who organises this. It's about corruption in the UK. He's over there in the Costa del Crime. The Job itself would have made a feature film for some directors because it's an amazing heist they pull off, and it's also a very disturbing film in the kind of way that I think Mona Lisa was. So that's my final recommendation. It's Sexy Beast, and is a sexy beast in this. A great cast, of course. Ian McShane. Who would have thought Sir Ben would have done such a brilliant job with Mad Frank?
Oh, God, no idea.
And I think it's Ray Winston's finest hour still, particularly because he's got no vanity in it. He's a bit of a lump in this one, and he allowed himself to be sprayed almost bright red because he's caught too much sun, and he wears the budgie smugglers. So there's hope for us all. Sexy Beast, 11:10, Sunday night. Here's a burst of the trailer.
What's the worst thing that can happen? What's the worst scenario? It's gonna come here. Ask me, I'm gonna say no. Do the job. No, Don. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. I can't. You can. I can't. Don't do this. Do what? What am I doing? This. This what?
I know a bloke who knows a bloke who knows a bloke. Now, you know this bloke.
Do I?
This is a bloke you know. Wants me to put a team together.
8 men. Strong. Good boys. Gotta be good boys. Look dumb.
Look dumb?
It's like this.
Like what?
I'd be useless.
Useless?
I would be.
What way?
In every fucking way.
Are you swearing? I'm not swearing.
You think you just make you down, leave the table, lie on your pool like a fat blob laughing at me? Do you think I'm gonna have that?
Do it. I'm really tired.
Do you think I'm stupid? Some twat!
I'm not really up to it.
Is your middle name ungrateful or what?
I'm retired.
Are you gonna do the job? It's not a difficult question. Yes or no? Say it.
I think no is the answer initially, then things change. Suddenly mutant rabbit popping up a bit like Donnie Darko. It's a great film, one of my favourite films of all time, certainly one of my favourite British gangster films. 11:10, Sunday night, film 4, Sexy Beast. And what are you ending with? What's your final recommendation, Van?
Well, my New Year's Day pick for us all, like you just said, like Ray Winston gave us all hope in his budgie smugglers. One man who certainly made it infinitely more difficult for us all in his budgie smugglers was, of course, Daniel Craig in his first appearance as James Bond in Casino Royale.
Yes, put it away, Daniel. We haven't got 8 hours a day to spend in the gym, or we'd all look like that.
Yeah, if we all had those trainers, and we could be that sad. However, we are getting his final Bond movie on New Year's Day this year. This is the New Year's UK TV premiere on ITV, 8 p.m. on Sunday, New Year's Day, of No Time to Die, the swan song of James Bond, the final movie of Daniel Craig's tenure. This is, of course, the adventure that sees Craig's Bond effectively called back into action post-retirement when a new biothreat, basically, well, a biothreat threatens, because that's kind of what a threat does. Biothreat threatens to take out every person on the planet. It's a really good movie. I watched this again this past few days, and I was shocked. I mean, I love Rami Malek anyway. He just won the Oscar for Bohemian Rhapsody when he got cast in this. You've got Lea Seydoux in there as well. Lashana Lynch as the new 007, and she really makes an impact very quickly. And of course, you've got the returning cast that includes Ben Whishaw, Naomi Harris, and Ray Fiennes as the stalwarts of MI6. But you know what? It's a Bond movie. It's New Year's Day. You gotta start the new year with a Bond movie. That's just tradition. We all know what bank holidays are like in Bond movies, so why not go out with a massive bang and enjoy James Bond in no time to die? 8 p.m. New Year's Day, Sunday on ITV. I've got a clip for you. This is the new 007 meeting her predecessor.
You seem like a man who's gagging for some action, Mr. Bond.
Shall we cut to the chase?
I'm here as a professional courtesy.
Well, you're not very courteous, are you? You've broken my car. It's Commander Bond. You know that. 00?
2 years.
Very young.
High achiever.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The world's moved on since you retired, Commander Bond. Perhaps you didn't notice.
No, can't say I had. And in my humble opinion, the world doesn't change very much.
You would say that. Look, this all seems like heaven. This little bubble, or whatever.
It's a great film, no two ways about it. Of course, and a fantastic farewell by Daniel Craig to that, the way he took the role on, changed the role for the new century. Now, Van, I want to say a personal thank you for all your help, all your support, and all the sacrifices you made time-wise for us over the past year. And to wish you all you wish yourself. And I should remind people that your brilliant podcast off screen, it's not on for a couple of weeks now, is it? I think it's back on the 13th.
Yeah, we're back on the 30th. We're taking some time off for Christmas. We've got to recharge. Tom Hanks has got to release new movies. We need Nicolas Cage to have a couple of weeks to make 5 new films.
Yeah. And let me ask you a question about next year's kind of raft of movie releases. Have you seen or heard much about this film Babylon with Brad Pitt? I think Margot Robbie said it looks fantastic to me, but people are saying it's kind of incredibly over the top and also a bit kind of very close to the bone. It's set in the silent era of Hollywood. It just looks an amazing film. Have you seen it yet or even heard much about it?
Well, I have a screener of this to watch in my remaining time off at Christmas. I've got a few Oscar screeners to watch. I've got that new Spielberg one, Meet the Fablemans, or The Fablemans, I think it is now, for instance. But yeah, Babylon is top of my list. The only thing that's put me off it is, first of all, I think Chazelle has become a bit hackneyed in recent years. We've talked about some of his films, like he did La La Land. He's very good when he did like Whiplash and things like that. But he has just become one of those filmmakers who just puts movies out for Oscar season, like La La Land, like First Man. It's kind of a lather, rinse, repeat thing. With him doing old-timey Hollywood, I feel like he's kind of going a bit too self-indulgent, because the Oscars love nothing more than movies about themselves. And this thing is over 3 hours long. I also hear that it has a couple of issues in terms of its content that may well off-put me, if I'm being really honest.
Well, we'll wait and see for Ben's verdict on that one. I'm looking forward to it very much indeed, simply because it sounds like such a challenging film. And we've got 6 big Freeview film recommendations there for you for the holiday weekend on talkSPORT and talkRADIO. We're live till 5. Happy New Year, Van.